Oh my God. All right. I'll be down there in a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Wait. God damn it.
It's good to see you too.
Out of there, Nino.
Hey, how you doing? Anything we got to chat about today?
Not specifically on my end.
All right. We are still waiting on Wes's update on the kidnapping of our government employee.
Okay, I'll mention that to him.
Easy.
To get that sent over. Is he going direct with you on that?
I don't know. It was sent to me, so.
Okay. All right, I'll bring it up to him and see what.
We're also going to be drafting the VAF legislation, the one we discussed at the court center. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to wait. They're taking too long.
I think there's too many holes in it. You know, the more and more I think about it, I think there's too many holes in it. We're not gonna find a perfect system. I know that.
Yeah. So we'll YOLO. We'll see how it goes, and we can always change it. Easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what gets put together. I'm gonna have some feedback in it though. Once it's once you all put something together.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna be honest too, though, Turner. Like, you know, we need that feedback quick. So if there are individuals that just aren't around, we just exit their
it's not
opinion
specific individuals. I'm trying to talk to people, including people today, and kind of throw basically the premise of a charge, and then you know, filing for those seizures. The filing part, as long as we get somebody who's educated on that, then that's. I mean, that's
as long as I
checked with a few of my detectives. They haven't seized a property or a vehicle ever before without it being in legislation.
That's unfortunate. Here's the things I want to leave you with. Feedback is good, but they have to provide good feedback, right? Logical,
right?
And timely. I'm thinking about jogging real fast right now. By the way, not like just in case.
Right.
So as long as we have that, I think we have a basis to sort of look at alternatives. But I understand from my perspective, this has been worked on even before you became the chief. So it's like at some point we got to pull the cord. You know what I mean? So,
right. Well, we presented one that we all thought was good, but then understanding that we're trying to streamline things with what we have is why we're back at revisiting it.
What is the feedback you've gotten so far? Has it been constructive, or mostly?
It's been conversations. I've sat people down, had conversations with people who are active, Opal, other high command members, and basically gone through the process of if it was a charge, and then we seized vehicles based on documentation, how that would all work.
Wait, no one has seized the property?
No one. It's only been attempted once, to my knowledge, from what I've been able to gather from the people I've spoken to, and it got shot down because a warrant got overturned, which is Ledson's property.
Are these individuals that you're speaking to, do they know what a seizure is?
I mean, I'm talking to people like Opal and Aaron.
Yeah, but still. Like, not everybody knows everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron's done some, I guess, back in the day, but this time around, no.
Okay.
Not in this iteration of, you know, our Constitution.
Huh. That's interesting.
Okay. You know, for properties to be seized, there needs to be it needs to be tied to, you know,
a crime. Yeah. The most,
not just a crime, right? It needs to be, well, I guess it could be potentially a crime,
yeah,
but it needs to be utilized.
Any property that is if anything, the VAF legislation protects vehicles from getting seized, right?
I would agree. I think we're actually going to have more vehicles being seized.
Yes.
Without this limit of 3, because you're no longer just VAFing when it's, you know, but I guess that depends what we establish. If it's violent crimes or just used in crime or evading, you know, what would the DOJ view as utilizing a crime? Right now,
it needs to be constructively used in a crime, right? So like the easiest is like a weed grow house or like a house that is a gang warehouse. Yeah.
Okay.
But the same can be said about vehicles, right? but
Right,
you're
but
probably going to want to show a pattern
Yeah.
with vehicles.
Right, but
So-
that pattern is pretty easy to show when it comes to, if they're accounting for reckless evading, right? So we're talking violent felonies now. Are we talking drug related?
The latter. Yeah.
Okay.
All comes down to articulation,
Right.
and the severity. There's no.
So you would see reckless evadings and a felony obstruction as enhancements to, the bank robberies and shooting at officers and gang related, right? It shouldn't be left out if it was going to be seized. We just don't, the problem is we don't have an easy way to track these either. I guess we could just put notes on.
Don't you?
How,
But there's like a vehicle option.
we do have a vehicle tab, but you can't search by those. So you can add a vehicle to every single one of them, but you can't search. They won't pull up from that search. You can't just put a plate in the search bar and then pull up vehicles off that.
There's a lot I want to say on this subject, and it's going to sound rude as shit. Part of the problem is there's a bit of a skill issue. And
I'm definitely
the other is some of these offices, they target, right? And they think that they're the fucking treasurer. And what I mean by that is some, not all, right? And
what do you mean by target?
Well, target is like for example, like 6 months ago, there was a crew that was getting targeted. And by targeted, I mean like everyone else got to do whatever the fuck they want. But like this crew, whatever reason, I'm not going to go into, it's been a while ago. Like the notion of like, hey, this thing happened. Oh, Jay Hobbs, as an example, right? Jay Hobbs was shot, tased in the cells. Subsequently, his clean guy was targeted because they couldn't get to him, right? Which is fine and dandy until that same, pattern isn't used for other crews, right? But specifically where I'm going at this with is the reason I even brought that up is I feel like if something needs to be seized, the pattern will establish itself. And once it's established itself, then you say, let me give an example, right? Let's say Flippy's robbing banks in the same vehicle over and over again, right? And that has been observed. Well, then you go for that vehicle, right? So I don't necessarily think, like I would say officers can always start with observation, use their experience, and when they notice a pattern, then they can retroactively dig back. So even though it may not be easy to track, it's not like you need an Excel sheet saying like, okay, here are the 50 vehicles that were used in a crime. Let's go like run the numbers to see what vehicles to go after. Does that kind of make sense? What I'm trying to say? If they're noticing a pattern with a specific set of individuals, then you dig into that data then, right? Instead of in the moment. So the difference being like, hey, this crime happened. Oh, look, this thing was used 8 times. Let me press this button and that button, and now we got the vehicle, right? Instead, it's like you're actively on duty. You're noticing with your eyes, with your own, like, what you're seeing on a daily basis, and you're like, hey, this shit is happening with this vehicle. I've noticed it 10 times. Let me dig into that, right? The latter has meaning. The former is just can be replaced by AI, Am I conveying my the point?
I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to figure out how to express myself right now.
Yeah.
I think there should be a threshold.
Yeah.
One that's clear to all. It's not catching people by surprise. Surprise makes people pissed off. That's when we get people shooting quite often, when they get pissed off or surprised or cornered. That's where people are get angry.
I see.
Let's not say shoot.
So you're saying there should be like a consistent bar that something is taken as
I
well.
like a consistent bar for everyone, not just us, but also for, frankly, the civilians and criminals. So by going this route, there is no bar. It's, you know, one day it shows up on the docket for using this vehicle.
You can't have both, though,
I think
man.
a visible bar is important.
Okay, that's a fair point. Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I
There
think
isn't a perfect system. There's no perfect
that's
system.
exactly the issue, right? It's like
It's where we're gonna bend the corners and bend ourselves to figure it out and make it work. And you know,
the needle has to either get simplified and more up to every situation being different, and then the needle going the other direction, it's, you know, more complicated, but a little bit more succinct. Like, but
Right,
if that
and
problem
you're
you're gonna deal with,
yeah.
you know, where we are today, right?
Right. I wonder if that's an easy fix. Let me try to reach out about vehicle stuff. I mean, I think they're. How do you? I don't know, I guess see what y'all cook up.
Our solution is very simple. Let's just make it a charge, right?
They get a charge for the
There's
driver.
too much obsession
and
over these vehicles, to be honest. I think
there
like
has to be punishment for using these vehicles, though, and it's not just the fine of the person using it; it's also the owner.
the asset
Find the owner and the operator.
sounds like an investigation. I mean, let me give you an example, right? If somebody was a clean person for a warehouse, right, or was the problem is too, Turner, like, yeah, they can get punished. I mean, if the same guys, well, here's the thing though, like if the owner is consistently, if there is a individual who is not the owner, who is consistently having their vehicle, you know, let's say like a senior buns worker, right? Who's consistently, his vehicle is ending up in the same hands of a particular group, you can punish them, right? Why wouldn't you be able to?
You're saying bring up accessory charges.
I don't think it's not
charges,
accessory at that point.
Accomplice.
If they got a
charges.
if there's a pattern that there's a clean individual giving the same vehicle to the same person, you now have probable cause, like a series of charges. You could even make it a primary. You know what I mean? You could tie it back to every crime that took place in the last 30 days, destroy their record. The only thing is that requires actual diligency. You know what I mean? Once again, using the example of like Flippy, you see over 2 weeks. I mean, some of these guys, they go to these things all the time, right? And they see, oh my God, it's that same vehicle. Well, you know, you look at that and you're like, wait a minute, this same, like every single time it's like Michael Douglas's vehicle, but Michael Douglas is a senior buns worker. What the hell's going on? Right? Nothing prevents a subpoena. Nothing prevents phone records and financials. Nothing prevents bringing him in. In fact, you have a probable cause, you press charges on the guy, right? I know the guy works for them. Well, boom and boom. I do recognize, though, there is a diligency gap, and so that is a part of the equation. Is that maybe that bar is way too high for where we are now?
There's definitely a diligency gap, and also, I'm sure, as you know,
you never, the captains never should have gotten taken down. I fucked a lot of things up. But we're here now. So
right. I mean, I'm trying to think about how we go about, you know, because to truly fix the issue, it's starting from the ground up, and that's not possible. It's not. It's not a viable option.
I think you're cooked. You just hold the line as long as you can, to be honest.
Yeah. So,
I am weighing those considerations for sure. Consider even my proposal as a reaction to how long are we gonna wait, right?
Fair enough.
So I do think opinions are good, but I hope that those who are putting opinions together can do so in a
I mean, I'm going to specific people I know that will give constructive views, right?
That's
I'm
good.
sitting there and breaking it down, and then
They need an alternative solution.
Right. It's not just breaking it down. It's about finding what the solution is, and that's where we're having a hard part, right? But, fair enough.
We
Y'all work on that?
can do like a pros and cons meeting too. Like, okay, so there's only going to be some number of stakeholders within your department, right? Ones that probably have to deal with this, those that probably actually give a shit. And I mean beyond the fact of like getting a hot on if they take someone's shit, right?
I really don't think anybody does, frankly. People just, also want repercussions for crimes, right?
I agree
what are we
with
out
that.
Here for if there's no repercussions?
I'm with you on that. Trust me. But those individuals, let's bring them in a room and let's have a constructive conversation about what the system is today. What is it that y'all want? And how it relates to our proposal, right? And the reason for that is pretty simple. Is we have option A and we have option B, and we can come up with an option C, but we have to analyze that. This is it shouldn't be a difficult task, right?
What day you want to do it on? Monday.
Any day that they're going to show up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and if they don't show up, Turner, fuck them, because their opinion doesn't matter at that point.
Fair enough. Let's shoot for Monday or Tuesday. We call it the day of.
Okay.
Unless you have something planned. Do you have any meetings scheduled for those days?
My schedule's all over the place. I need to know like as soon as possible so I can like pen it in.
Okay. Let's plan for Tuesday then.
Okay.
Let's just say Tuesday. We'll get as many
right
people
after
as we
the
can.
meeting,
or not as many people, but important people.
Yeah.
For this, and we'll try to poke some holes and figure out alternatives and what we're looking for and go from there.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Okay. All right.
There is something I gotta say though. Like there is this other way that if people want repercussions, but they also got to do the work, right?
I agree.
And I just heard recently that a lot of these VAFs are just getting accessories in an attempt to capture them. I heard this from the DOJ directly.
They're getting accessories in an attempt.
They're using accessories to aim at the lowest bar. Right? That's a very dangerous
Explain to me what do you mean by they're using accessory?
They can't capture the person X number of times, so they just throw a bunch of accessories out in order to guarantee taking the vehicle.
I mean, you don't have to catch a person to charge, to VAF a vehicle, right?
No, but it's the pattern of if let's say 80% of these VAF requests are accessories, that paints in my mind, a very negative picture as to what the intent is. And I'd like to understand why it's accessory, because the logical reason to use accessory is because you don't have enough evidence to get accomplice or a primary charge, right? I don't know the answer to that. That might be something to dig into.
I don't know
this is what the DOJ mentioned to me yesterday.
They swapped into that vehicle, or somebody was driving that vehicle and waiting for them to swap. That could be an accessory. I don't know. I couldn't speak specifics. I'd have to look into that, and I will.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at the most recent VAF.
All the information's good. At the end of the day, this got to make sense for as many people as possible. But we're not going to be able to make everyone happy. Right?
Absolutely.
So
make something that makes sense, right?
Yeah, 100%. All right. Okay. All right. You should get one of these. These things are fucking sick. I did a mile just like fucking in this meeting.
I do. Actually.
But it makes me sound like a lot more angry because I'm like huffing and puffing. So
yeah, I'm generally pretty calm. But yeah, I mean, ultimately I should.
Really? When you're thinking about like fucking, like, you know, like slamming a treadmill in a meeting type shit?
Well, I'm calm when I'm speaking, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
But no, you're right. Frankly, I should get something like that.
It is, I'm going to tell you, when you're engaged in a conversation, and I noticed this yesterday, I banged out, I did this for like fucking 90 minutes. Fucking did almost like 4 to 5 miles. Just like didn't even think about it. Because the moment you get engaged, like I forget, you lose sense of, you ever go out and like walk outside? You ever been outside before, Tyler? That's not my actual question. But I mean, like, you ever done like just gone out for a walk or like a jog?
Forget about things. You just go.
And you just go. Like, I personally have a hard time. Like, I'm too focused on the pain or the whatever the fuck, right? Because music isn't enough to distract me. My mind's always like violent. But what's interesting is I've noticed when in conversation, I completely forget that I'm even doing this, right? It just becomes normalized. I'm so focused on like this conversation, for example, that it just kind of goes. I don't know. It's worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I said, I have one. I just
Why not?
need to use it.
Does it got a roller? Is it easy to bring in and out?
Yep.
Boom. Yeah.
It's 4 feet from me. Very close.
All right.
I'll put it that way.
I gotta go. I gotta pick up a plane, and then I gotta talk to these guys outside. But yeah, let's please set it up. Look, I want
Tuesday right after meeting. It's set.
Absolutely. My biggest thing, transparently, is either we do something or we just, you know,
We drop it all.
exactly. Time investment's getting a little too much, you know. So
I know. We spent a lot of time on the last VAF one, going back and forth and finding a happy medium there with Mr. Hernandez and.
It didn't sound like it when I.
What? No, it didn't sound like we spent a lot of time more.
No, it being like acceptable.
To Mr. Hernandez. He gave the go ahead on everything.
Okay, I'll re-engage him. When I spoke to him, maybe I misremember the conversation. It sounded like,
No, he was happy with it. In fact,
was he?
To my understanding, yeah. He said the only.
I'm gonna
issue
engage with him
points.
again.
He said the only issue he had was points, and that was from. We wanted 9.
Mm-hmm.
He asked for more. We went to 12. He asked for more. We went to 15. He asked for more. We went to 20. That was the only thing he had an issue with. Right. That's the only thing he had an issue with. After everything was said and done, there was a lot of things he had issues with, but we agreed with a lot of his points.
I'm gonna talk to him again. Maybe his mind was somewhere else, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've reached out to him personally myself a few times, and yeah, he liked it. He liked the version that we showed, gave you and Michael. That's the version he liked. So that is
engage. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair
All
enough.
right.
Then I'm not around tomorrow, so I'll see you on Monday, and then Tuesday we'll have a meeting.
Easy. All right.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Take care there, Nino.
Stay safe.
You as well.
That's not the impression I got from Flippy. Was that actually the case? I'm gonna ask him again. It sounded to me that, then again, he might have been like mid alternative conversation, and but my impression was that it wasn't good. Am I misremembering, chat? Keep me honest here. Yeah.